30-something years ago, way back in the day.
98.7 KISS FM with cool DJ Red Alert doing the mixing. 98.7 KISS FM, the Latin Rascals.
The God Cops of Hip Hop, Mr. Magic.
If I can go back in time and tell my younger self that I'd witnessed history unfolding, and that I'd be old as hell 40 plus years later, I doubt I'd listen. I was too stubborn and ignorantly believed that I'd stay young, and new MCs would constantly churn out music for NYC that would be instant classics today. A lot of those earlier MCs are long forgotten, yet the ones here still tour, and we old heads get nostalgic about music during this period in time, what gave us eargasms. I'm gonna keep this a buck. Oof, there's me, with the fake gazelles on. The 1980s booty shorts, socks that damn near came up to my chesticles, pimping on Park Avenue, at the knockoff joints called gazelles from a street vendor. I know that was a style back in the day, but I can't believe our parents let us go all dressed like that with those booty type shorts. Anyway. 40 years ago, I started a tape collection from the ground up, pretty much like most of NYC was already doing. The thing is, I had no idea that I was on the ground floor what I personally believe was the golden age of hip-hop. In 1983, I lived right uptown in the Bronx, 1750 Sedgwick Avenue to be exact, down the street from 1520, right across from River Park Towers in the Harlem River, which separated us from Manhattan. Solid area before the crack epidemic fully hit, while crackheads were waiting for the 1st and 15th of every month. To stay out of trouble during the summer, we played full-court basketball, swam at Roberto Clemente State Park, or went to a summer camp at Bronx Community College. On this particular day to summer camp, I saw this dude with a heavy-looking boombox blasting a jam I'd never heard before. It was by Gaz, and the song was Sing Sing. Some DJ was cutting the hell out of this disco joint. Right then and there is what made me want to start recording tapes for myself. But I was young, had no working papers as a minor for a summer job, so any money I did get went to buying comic books. Dead ass. Once the school year started, I had to bide my time. As long as I looked fly doing it, I went to the High School of Art and Design. In that time frame, most of us sported Lee's, Shams the Baron shirts, Pumas, Adidas, Kangos, name belts, sheepskins, leather bomber jackets. I personally did most of my shopping on Fordham Road in the Bronx, Delancey Street in the city, or the Aqueduct Flea Market in South Ozone Park, Queens. The current trend in music being played at the time was damn near synonymous with how we dressed. Around Christmas of that same year, my pops bought a stereo system for me to use that had a tape deck. Now for a while we were going to school, we listened to the radio. 98.7 KISS to be exact. They almost always dropped on the radio by the Crash Crew, but by then things were slowly changing. RunDMC dropped Suck MCs and It's Like That on Profile Records, while the Fearless Four kept the movement going with Elektra Records by releasing Problems of the World. This was a year before Def Jam, before Tila Rock and LL Cool J. Sugar Hill Records was slowly being phased out. Not completely, mind you, but it was happening. For a while, most of the Black and Latino listeners started listening to Mr. Magic on 107.5 WBLS. Keep in mind though, I had no idea Mr. Magic was on WBLS or WXBI. I personally regret not knowing this. Also during this time frame, 98.7 KISS had mixes done by Tony Humphries and Shep Pettibone, and man, they were killing it. If you heard a mix that you'd never heard before on that station, like say Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson Say, and in the middle of that mix you heard 98.7 KISS, Master Mix, that's what they were doing. I mean, all that's well and cool, but we youngins wanted that rap shit, because that's what we gravitated towards. The adults couldn't stand it, understand it, and didn't appreciate it. Then again, hip-hop culture, with rap music gaining traction, had basically replaced disco. It's not our fault, we couldn't even get in the club, so we had to do the park jams. So what did we do on Friday and Saturday nights? Pop in a tape, start recording, and trust, that's exactly what we did. By now, Buffalo Gals from the world's famous Supreme Team and beatbox from the Art of Noise were staples in hip-hop. The mentality was, if it didn't fit into the soul, R&B, or electro freestyle genres, then it had to be rap music, especially if it had drums that you could bop your head to. We didn't mind. We were hungry for new material, and a lot of it actually seemed experimental. So Red Alert and Chuck Chillout fed us this music over the weekend like we were all gremlins, yet they stopped at midnight. In my opinion, this was the beginning of the golden age of hip-hop, and most of us didn't even know it at the time, and the struggle was real if your tape popped or got jammed in your boombox. That's when you had to get the tools to fix it. Why bother? Because you probably had one of the illest mixes on that tape, or Chuck Chillout did one of the sickest scratches on that particular tape, and you had to get it fixed. I'm being honest. Now, one of the first joints I started recording was It's Yours by Tila Rock and Rockbox by RunDMC. Red Alert made sure to spin and cut it up like crazy. Those joints are moving in the streets and on the radio hard. People seem to forget this, but It's Yours was the very first rap record on Def Jam. It wasn't LL Cool J's I Need a Beat. But us old heads caught on to the fact that Mrs. Smith's early flow, it sounded a lot like Tila Rock's. Coincidence? Oh no. Anyway, peep game. Before they were the Beastie Boys, they were friends with Rick Rubin, who produced the track. A young kid at Rock was there in the studio with T when he recorded the jam, along with some grown-ass women. You know in the record when T says, "Do you like it?" and the crowd says, "Yeah." That's at Rock, and the women doing the crowd voices. Real talk. Even more interesting, Rick Rubin wanted to sign Special K from the Treacherous 3 for this, but he couldn't do it because Special K was still signed with Sugar Hill Records as part of the Treacherous 3. So he went with Special K's brother, Tila Rock. Even more ironic, Kid at Rock tasted Brass Monkey for the very first time that night, and they sampled It's Yours for Paul Revere 2 years later. Mess your head up, right? This stripped down jam was hot on the streets of New York. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing it. Your moms knew this song. Your grandma's put in her teeth just to recite the lyrics. Your crazy uncle stopped playing spades, put his Colt 45 down just to listen to this song. If a cop busted you playing this shit on a boombox on the train, he let you off with a warning and start bopping his head till he get off at 86th Street. That's how dope this record was. Or back in the day, we used to say it was fresh. However, Red and Chuck spun another joint. When I said new material seemed experimental, I wasn't kidding, because RunDMC dropped Rockbox. Bruh. Okay, in 2023, we take it for granted. We're used to it. But Run and D self-appointed themselves as the kings of rap and roll. We all know that. But in 1984, this was totally different. Like, totally new. We had never heard no shit like this before. For some context, you guys have to understand something. We had nicknames for each borough. I mean, to us, it was just 4 boroughs. Or like Bruh Man from the 5th floor. Deadass, it was just 4 boroughs. We didn't even think about Staten Island until Wu-Tang Clan came along and put Shaolin on the map. It was basically who had the better borough because of who we grew up with, who our friends were, what rap represented it. That's all it was, like a competition thing. Now for the Bronx, we started this hip hop shit. That was home, and we took pride in it. Despite it having more abandoned buildings than the Knicks winning championships, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious had dominated for a minute, and now Tila Rock had the streets on lock. RunDMC were from Queens though, specifically Hollis. They had dropped 2 hot joints previously, and when they dropped Rockbox, that song hit the ground running like a slave running for freedom. This joint, Red Alert and Chuck Chillout used to cut it up like crazy. And that guitar riff by Eddie Martinez, that was straight fire. But what most still don't know, probably to this day, is that Run and D didn't even want the guitar riff on the song. After Suck MCs and Is Like That, rap street cred was solidified for them. We all understood that Queens was representing, but Run and D, when they heard the guitar riff on the track, they didn't get it. They just wanted the drums, which was basically Billy Squire's Big Beat programmed. All they cared about was the drums, the bells, not the guitar riff, because they felt it wouldn't be accepted in the hood, but it was. Was it as lyrical as It's Yours? No, but we had never heard anything like that before. These cats didn't even want to make a video for it to be shown on MTV. Thank God they did though. Big ups to Michael Jackson for opening the door and leaving it open, because MTV allegedly didn't want any black artists on their channel. This rap and rock combo got white kids who probably never listened to rap music and never got into hip hop culture to take notice and start listening. If joints like these were gonna drop and evolve on Friday and Saturday nights, then you already know. Now to be fair though, I missed a lot of the good stuff that got no radio play. The Cold Crush Brothers tapes that got circulated around the city, and the Mo D Busy Bee Battle at Harlem World, I missed it. Ain't gonna lie though, giving someone a blank tape ain't exactly a risk, but Giving someone a tape with all that material on it? You'd rather give up your Jerry Curl activator or your new kicks. Please do me a solid for the YouTube algorithms. Drop a like, comment, subscribe, tell your mom, tell your auntie they should date 4 drug dealers way back in the day. There's a lot of material to cover. Know the ledge. Imagine if the following happened. No more rap music being played on WBLS in 1984 anymore, ever. After the last video, I had plenty of things to discuss. Then it hit me while I was about to walk my cat Scribbles. I gotta talk about the god pops of hip hop, Mr. Magic.
Good evening to your super listeners. How you doing tonight, all you fly guys and fly girls? Welcome once again to the world famous Mr. Magic Rap Attack, and of course I am.
Some parts of this are such a pain in the neck to talk about that every time I think about it, I get disgusted. So why not give you some context? 1982 WBLS were pretty solid with their ratings and needed a solution to the problem of 98.7 KISS gaining ground via younger listeners. Pretty messed up because this is the same station that started playing D-Train, Alicia Myers, Shannon, and Madonna before damn near everyone else back in the day. Remember when we all thought Madonna was his sister? I mean, yeah, I thought she was too. In this time frame though, Frankie Crocker was the program director, and Frankie had a musical director named Mae James. Mae has a daughter who constantly stayed up well past midnight listening to the radio, with that same radio under her pillow on the low. So naturally, Mae's wondering what the hell has her daughter so caught up that she probably risked getting put on punishment for staying up past Betty by. Turns out that her daughter was listening to some dude named Mr. Magic and his rap show on WHBI. Magic would personally buy airtime on WHBI because it wasn't commercial radio, but he did believe in the growing hip-hop culture and loved rap music. Having been on at HBI for a few years already, his show didn't start off playing mostly rap music because there weren't enough rap songs to fill the time slot. Before he rebranded it as The Rap Attack, it was actually called Magic's Disco Showcase. Frankie Crocker met with Magic to offer him a spot on BLS for his show, which would more than likely bring his followers, and he would actually be on the air in prime time. The thing is, Magic didn't have an FCC license to be on BLS, so he had to work under the license of Tyrone Fly Ty Williams, who produced Magic's show and would eventually become the co-owner of Cold Chillin' Records years later. Anyone at BLS that had a license that Magic could work under, well, they didn't want to be bothered with him or the music. You see, neither 98.7 KISS nor BLS actually respected rap music, even if it was played on those very same stations. Crazy, right? Here's where things get even more interesting. Even at this point in hip-hop history, Magic's other nickname was Sir Juice. This we all knew. But the original Juice Crew? Well, here's where that old wow moment comes in. Most folks like me would start rambling off names like Roxanne Shante, Craig G, Tragedy, MC Shan, Bismarck, etc., etc. You already know. But I'm talking the original Juice Crew. That's these dudes. Curtis Blow, the Fat Boys, Melly Mel, Grandmaster Flash, DJ Junebug, and Sal, the owner of the Disco Fever. You see, Magic would hit up the Disco Fever and the Boogie Down quite a bit. If you frequently went there and had celebrity status as an MC, DJ, or radio personality, you were more than likely considered part of the Juice Crew. With Magic and Fly Ty Williams on board BLS now, Magic needed a DJ for his show, and he wanted DJ Junebug, who was a prominent DJ at the Fever. However, Junebug was found dead in the Bronx. As great a DJ as he was, to the point that he had the ear of Curtis Blow and the crowd at the Fever, Junebug was also into extracurricular activities, and it seemed to catch up to him. With Junebug's tragic passing, Magic was desperate for someone to be his turntable DJ on the Rap Attack, and was introduced to Marley Marl by way of Dr. Bob Lee. The first time Magic asked Marley to be his DJ, Marley point blank turned him down as they didn't exactly get along from the jump, and that lasted a while. When he asked again, with the proposal of Marley earning more money as opposed to being a club DJ, Marley jumped at the chance, especially with millions of Magic's listeners ready for some eargasms. Yet even that was a problem, because Marley didn't have his FCC license either, and technically didn't work at BLS. Frankie Crocker and Magic bumped heads quite a bit over this, until Crocker gave in and gave Marley a shot. For a few years things worked out fine until the chemistry between Magic and Marley was undeniable. However, Murphy's Law still applies to any and everything. This is 1984, a good year for rap music and the hip-hop culture on a whole, despite the crack and AIDS epidemic on the rise with no slowing down. It's Yours was a hit, Rock Box was a massive hit, Divine Sounds dropped Do or Die Bet style rep in Brooklyn harder than Times in 1929. Beat Street had come out in June of that year, with Wild Style having dropped a year previously. Magic, Marley, and Ty had gotten BLS some incredible numbers. Red Chuck and the Latin Rascals were on Kiss handling business, so all should be good, right? Nope. Frankie Crocker left the station that year. The holy trinity of rap on BLS were on fire, and Charles Warfield, who was a general manager at the time, came up with the bright idea: give Magic, Marley, and Ty their own time slots. All that time spent building up more followers and getting BLS some great numbers to keep them ahead of Kiss FM was official. Technically, that sounded good at the time considering the opportunities offered to the fellas, but Warfield had an ulterior motive. He didn't want any rap music, zero, nada, being played on BLS. Ken Webb, who was a respectable DJ at the time, allegedly didn't like rap music either, and would insult the genre right in front of Magic at meetings concerning BLS and its growth. Warfield basically offered the fellas crumbs and dingled enticing bait in their faces to get them to stop rap music's ascension and progression. He'd even gone so far as to talk to Barry Mayo, who was a top dog at Kiss, to make this happen by getting rid of Red Alert and Chuck Chill Out. You just can't make this stuff up. Mr. Magic was arguably the biggest person in rap music because he had a huge following that was growing, and he was on radio. Record labels would look up to him and seek his approval if a rap song was worth playing on his show. And yes, that included Sugar Hill Records or a young Russell Simmons who gave his brother Joe a shot and put him on. Think about it. The overall ramifications of this are mind-blowing. Warfield's decision was a slap in the face to the hip-hop community, and it will make you question why would the station choose to turn its back on a genre that was rapidly gaining traction. The fallout was particularly devastating for Mr. Magic, who would not only lose a huge platform, but also his ability to support and promote the artists he believed in, like he did with Divine Sounds of the Fearless Four. Check the credits on a Fearless Four album. M Squared is Mr. Magic. You can question if the exclusion of rap music was driven by commercial concerns or a lack of understanding about the cultural significance of hip-hop itself. To understand the motivation behind WBLS's decision, you probably have to consider the socio-political climate at the time. With rap music gaining increasing attention and sometimes controversial subject matter, the station may have faced pressure from advertisers and conservative groups. Ronald Reagan was president, remember? Although Jesse Jackson tried his hand by campaigning for the big chair that same year. Then you actually have advertisers that had the mentality that black folks didn't actually buy their products, like Macy's as an example. As a response to Warfield's decision to go through with this, Mr. Magic, along with the reluctant Marley and Ty, leaves WBLS to go back to HBI. Being pissed about this fueled Mr. Magic because at the time, he could see what no one else was seeing, a future with neighborhood entertainers that could express themselves, and he wasn't getting paid an insane amount of dollars to do it either. He believed in this, and no one could tell him any different. Dude was a serious visionary, and if it wasn't for him, there would have been no Marley Marl on radio to produce the instant classics we grew up on. No Biz, G-Rap, no Rakim, no Big Daddy Kane, no producers and beat makers to be inspired by Marley, like Pete and Primo, and none of those hot exclusives that Magic dropped on BLS let all of this marinate about how one dude saw what most didn't, and if Marley didn't learn how to sample. And yes, BLS did bring them back. That's a story for another day though. Here's my take on this overall. If you, like Magic, have a vision that no one else can see, don't let anyone stop you. The only one stopping you is you. Just make sure to keep your integrity intact and stay the course. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and I'm gonna have an entanglement with a cup of coffee. Praise Jesus for coffee. Hit that like and subscribe button, because I have more joints to explore and to get people thinking. Big ups to Magic, Marley, and Fly Ty for being the soundtrack to my teenage years, and mostly everyone else in the New York tri-state area. Know the ledge. Finally, the ones responsible for the murder of Jam Master Jay were found guilty. Over 20 long years for this to happen.
Yo, what's up? Yo, my homeboy and partner DJ Run wants to come out and help me out, but he said y'all don't sound loud enough. So if y'all want him to come out here and say some of them fresh rhymes, somebody say run. How you say run? Call him out, say run. Everybody say run. Come on, just clap your hands, everybody.
I'll be honest, I had no idea how to approach making a video like this. I was a huge RunDMC fan since they first dropped It's Like That and Suck MCs back in 1983. But how do I make a video about this group, these duo MCs, and this cool as hell DJ? I don't know. I had two subjects I wanted to get off my chest before I started plotting. I mean, bruh, I was going all in like Lexington still in his prime when he was still making porn flicks, getting into chicks' gibbers and shit. You know what it is? So I'm telling my boy what I wanted to talk about next. So he tells me that the cats responsible for Jam Master Jay's death had the day in court. I admit, I was happier than a chick with some new spider leg eyelashes, or some dude sporting some gray sweatpants to show how big his joint isn't. The first thing that popped into my head was, damn, this took a long ass time, and it was suggested that I write about this from my perspective. This felt like a challenge to me because the focus had to be a bit more J than RunD. Well, okay, let me get this out the way. RunDMC were never signed to Def Jam. They were signed to Profile Records. You'd be surprised how many people to this day still don't know that. The owner, Corey Robbins, was actually kind of leery to sign these cats. I mean, this label escaped being ruined financially. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde saved it by $2,000. In any case, being connected to Run's brother Russell, most of those mid-80s rap acts were signed with Rush Management. Now this takes me back, even if it was 40 years ago. If you're a comic book fan like DMC, Secret Wars was already killing it. Amazing Spider-Man number 252 introduced us to Spidey sporting that black suit. 3 people in this time frame were practically running pop music radio stations: Michael, Prince, and Madonna, all born the same exact year. RunDMC dropped their very first album before summer, which incidentally was dedicated to DJ Junebug, whom I talked about in the last video. The video for Rockbox got played on MTV that summer, and Jam Master Jay was officially down with them because Russell wanted to get an album done. Okay, cool. From 1984 to roughly 1988, RunDMC damn near had a chokehold on rap music because they expanded it beyond the hood, basically their core audience. After what I call the rise of the lyricists started happening in 1986, and their core audience started sliding off pretty much due to Walk This Way, you can see the decline slowly happening. As respected as they were, there were many others coming through the door that we were introduced to, from new lyrical MCs to new female MCs to new groups emerging. I mean, don't get it twisted, they still had dope joints even up until 1988's Tougher Than Leather, but with more artists coming out, the competition was fierce as well as it was respected. Now, jump forward to 1993. RunD&J got the hookup from DJ / 1992's Remix King / insane producer Pete Rock, because they were phasing out. NWA, Tribe, and Naughty had already dropped some incredible albums. Those 3 alone had different sounds, and it wasn't just them. Rap music has seriously evolved, so that now you had more choices to select from. If you're one of those folks that's wondering, well, what about so-and-so? And you know who you are. I didn't forget, because the list is long and the focus isn't on RunDMC, although Pete Rock gave them a serious resurgence to their career with Down with the King in 1993. That act alone got them touring again, and the payout in the 1990s was much better for them than in the 1980s. Death Row were out with that G-Funk flavor now, repping Cali, then added Tupac to his crazy arsenal of artists. It was pretty much game over. I'm gonna keep this a buck. We knew Death Row was a problem when Dre dropped The Chronic in 1992. With Tupac added in the mix, it was like the 1992 Dream Team, and man, they had so many dope tracks. I personally didn't care where producer, DJO, and MC were from. If your shit was dope, it was dope. Period. Death Row was making a killing being played on urban and pop stations. Dre and Snoop got the cover of Rolling Stone. The money was flowing faster than drunk dudes at a strip club, and New York's only savior was a brother from Brooklyn. By then, RunDMC's dominance was all but over. With no money coming in for Jay, bills are piling up and he was in the hole, especially with the spotlight fading. He reportedly owed the IRS over $100,000, but it was actually $500,000 in debt. Back in the 1980s, the group famously had an anti-drug stance in lyrics and PSAs. Hell, I remember when they gave a concert around 1985 because of the surging crack epidemic, and appeared on New York's Channel 11 News speaking about it. The thing is, and from my personal standpoint, if you have no financial advisor or zero knowledge of how to manage your money, you're going to have problems in the long run. I'm not one to make excuses for Jay, and I refuse to shit on the man's legacy. From what I read about him over the years, he was a good dude, helped out his family when needed, great family man, loved music, stayed in the community to start a record label, mentored a young 50 Cent. He, like most of us, made a terrible decision and it ultimately cost him his life. The irony of this is there happened to be 2 people close to him, a childhood friend and his very own godson. To get over the pressure of being in debt and a net worth that had plummeted, Jay became a cocaine middleman as his career slowed and money ran short. In 2002, a year after RunDMC's 7th and final studio album, Crown Royal, Jay had allegedly acquired 10 kilograms, 22 pounds of cocaine. To get it distributed, he brought in Ronald Washington, his childhood friend, and Carl Jordan Jr., his godson, to make this happen in the Baltimore area. The thing is, Ralph Mulgrove, a drug dealer, dealer based in Baltimore didn't want to work with Washington. He knew Washington from way back in the day and actually wanted to put a hot one in him on sight scene. The animosity was a bit thick, and Mulgrew refused to do the deal with Jay if Washington was involved. Mulgrew lived in Baltimore at the time and oversaw a cocaine distribution ring with about 25 workers. Since he wouldn't comply, Jay cut Washington and Jordan Jr. out of a potential $200,000 payday, which pissed them off to the highest point of festivity. Mulgrew had spent 12 years in federal prison on a drug-related conviction before his release in 2013. He testified only after being arrested on a material witness warrant, which can be used to compel court appearances. Days leading up to his death, Jay seemed more worried than usual, and he stayed strapped. On October 30th, 2002, Washington and Jordan entered a previously locked fire escape exit door at the back of Jay's recording studio, located on Merrick Boulevard in Jamaica, Queens. With the help of accomplice Jay Bryant, who incidentally will be tried in January of 2026 in a separate trial, Ronald Washington and Carl Jordan went upstairs to the recording studio where Jordan greeted Jay. At the time, Jay was sitting on the couch playing a video game and reviewing paperwork with his business manager. Initially happy to see Jordan, things went south fast. Jordan pointed a gun at Jay and fired 2 shots at close range. One shot hit him in the head and he died instantly. Jay's business manager tried to dip out after witnessing this, but was caught by Washington. He pointed a gun at her face and demanded that she lie on the floor, after which Washington, Jordan, and Brian fled the scene. The defendants later openly made admissions to their associates implicating themselves in the fatal shooting or bragging about being the shooter of Jam Master Jay. After Jay's murder, Run announced the official breakup of RunDMC. This execution of pure active revenge was finally made right, with Washington and Jordan having had their day in court, and millions couldn't be happier. The sad and tragic part of all this is that Jay left behind an incredible legacy, which most of us will never forget. During their heyday, people typically think that it was Run that fired up the crowd. No, that was Jay. Jay brought that energy. The look of RunDMC, the Godfather hats, sporting Adidas, that was Jay. When Mr. Magic had DJs visiting BLS and none could deal with how the equipment was set up, only one cat wasn't scared to shine when competing with Marley Marl on those turntables. Again, Jay. I still have those tapes where Jay set the mood for the crowd at the Apollo and then in Madison Square Garden back in 1986. It was all Jay. This is how I personally want to remember the man. He was that dude, and I refuse to think negatively over a terrible mistake that cost him his life. If we were all saintly, chances are churches wouldn't exist. Do me a solid. Hit the subscribe button, keep hitting your boy with some coffee, and keep your integrity intact. Know the ledge.